Okay, next up, item B, ordinance 4639, potential third reading and adoption. This is adding Lewiston City Code Section 8-48, setting forth rules and regulations related to dog parks operated by the city of Lewiston. And I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 4630, or to read for ordinance 4639 for the third time by roll call vote. Oh, title and by title only, suspending the rules. Roll call for approve.
For adoption.
Thank you. We clear on that? I was trying not to have her pull up the cue cards.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I make a motion that we have the third reading of ordinance 4639.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Approving the third reading of ordinance 4639 by title only, suspending the rules. An ordinance of the city of Lewiston, adding Lewiston City Code Section 8-48, setting forth rules and regulations related to dog parks operated by the city of Lewiston and providing a second.
Okay, councilors, ordinance 4639 has been read for the third time. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 4639 by roll call vote.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Cleaver?
Aye.
Councilor Daniel?
Aye.
Councilor Collins?
Aye.
Councilor Randall?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item C, Northeast Crossing PUD Agreement Amendment, amending the Northeast Crossing PUD Agreement related to driveways. Probably Mr. Plaskin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an agenda item to consider an amendment to the Northeast Crossing Planned Unit Development Agreement that's in place for a new subdivision property that was recently annexed into the city. The agreement currently calls for driveways to required parking to be concrete for standard-shaped lots. And for flag-shaped lots or flag lots, it requires the driveways to be either asphalt or concrete. And in the review of a recent building permit application and construction of a new home out there, the developer and the applicant, Mr. Dan Young, has identified a desire to not have the entirety of the driveway for a flag lot paved, and is proposing that the agreement be amended to allow that part of the driveway between the end of the flagpole and the location of the required parking not have to be paved and that be allowed to be gravel. And he's also requesting an amendment to the agreement to allow asphalt as an option for the driveways for standard-shaped lots. You've got in your packets copies of the agreement, the PUD agreement, with the proposed amendments shown at the bottom of page 7 and top of page 8. You've got in there some maps related to the proposal, including a site plan of the lot that I was just referencing. The Planning and Zoning Commission actually reviewed this request at 2 meetings. The first meeting, they didn't make a recommendation because they didn't feel like they had sufficient information. So we got that information, brought it back to them. They considered it again. And at that time, then they recommended that the City Council approve the proposed amendments to the PUD agreement.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Randall.
Joel, if we approve this change, that will only affect this particular PUD. It will not change anything as far as overall city regulations?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Daniel.
Joel, for the gravel allowance, is it just permitted by, I guess, omission, or is it in here and I'm just not seeing where it says a mention to gravel? On the bottom of page 7, it talks about shall be concrete or underlined asphalt was the addition, but I don't see.
Right, so the last sentence on the bottom of page 7 has specifically to do with standard shaped lots. And the way the agreement currently reads, it requires driveways on those lots to be concrete. So where the words "or asphalt" are underlined, that would, if that's approved by the council, would allow the driveway for a standard shaped lot to be asphalt instead of concrete, or vice versa. The gravel allowance that's being requested is only applicable to the flag lots, and that change is shown at the top of page 8.
So is it,
It's the underlined language that's circled.
I don't see a reference to gravel. I guess it just
Right,
says
yeah,
any such
okay, I'm
unpaid,
sorry.
right?
So the short answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
Gravel would be allowed by default.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure that we.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Councilor Collins.
Joel, just a couple of questions. In reading this, the dates kind of confuse me, and I'm assuming it's just a typo. It says October 14th, 2015, recommended denial until, et cetera, and then below it says reconsidered, and it's listed as November 4th, 2014. Is that actually 2015?
Correct, that's a
Okay.
typo.
And then the second question I have, because I haven't seen it ever written this way before, it says action proposed, and this is from the recommendations. It says approve or deny one or both of 2 requested amendments. Usually we see here a recommendation to approve or to deny. Is there a reason why we've got both of them in there as an option, as a recommendation, other than what you worded out loud tonight?
Not necessarily. It's just that there are 2 amendments proposed, and they're slightly related, but they're actually different issues because they each apply to different types of lots. And so you have the option to approve the proposal in its entirety, to deny the proposal in its entirety, or approve
Okay. So there wasn't
one
a
part of
division-
it and not the other.
So there wasn't a division amongst staff as to what should or shouldn't be occurring?
Correct.
And then I know in reading this, there were an indication of the number of flag lots that this would potentially apply to. Do we know what that number is or would be?
Yes. In this first development phase, there are 2 flag lots in the entire subdivision. We don't know how many there may or may not be in future phases.
Well, that's what I saw with the diagrams, but I just wanted to confirm.
Right, but there is a concept plan for a potential future phase, and it doesn't show any flag lots on it. So it's expected that this would not affect a great number of lots by any means. It would be only a few lots.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Pro Tem.
I move that we approve the 2 requested amendments for the Northeast Crossing PUD agreement in their entirety.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Is there further discussion? I'll just put my 2 cents in, whether it's a concrete driveway or an asphalt. I mean, asphalt is concrete by nature. It's asphaltic concrete, that's what its official term is. They both have their merits as far as longevity and stuff like that. We're talking about driveways here. And as far as having a compacted gravel driveway to allow access to a flag lot on a relatively flat surface, they can certainly be designed to where they not only eliminate some impervious surface, which contributes to runoff, but it also is sufficient to support any kind of fire apparatus, I believe, that we have in this town. Getting a nod from the chief, so I could support this. Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the Northeast Crossing PUD Agreement Amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next up, Emergency Services Agreement. approving an emergency services agreement between the city and Clearwater Paper Corp. And Chief, is that a misprint? It is MedCore.
It is MedCore,
Yeah,
which is on the actual agreement.
okay. It says Medco. Entertain a motion, before, all right, I'll do it in discussion. I'll entertain a motion to approve our ESA with Clearwater Paper and MedCore.
So move.
Second.
Yeah, a motion is second. Is there a discussion? I've had to bring this up before. I know it's not really pertinent, but my brother is still the acting vice president of MedCore. This does not benefit me in any way, shape, or form, even though he fed me Thanksgiving dinner this last week in Chicago. But I think this has been a long time coming, and it's important to the city that we have partners in our emergency services. Any other comments? No. Counselor Randall.
Speaking of partnerships, one of the things that was beneficial to other communities outside of Lewiston this past fire season was the fact that there was partnerships and that they could call for help and people would respond.
Certainly. We had some of our crews up working out of Kamiah, correct? And I think even up at the Rubens Gifford area, which
34 days.
which was covered by the aid agreement. So, no, anytime we can add to our collective mix, I think it's a good thing, so. Further comments? Yes, ma'am. Oh, because contractual, thank you. So we'll, guess I'll entertain a motion to approve by roll call vote our emergency services agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay?
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Coogan.
Aye.
Counselor Daniel.
Aye.
Counselor Collins.
Aye.
Counselor Randall.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries 5-0. Next up, item E, automatic water metering reading. This is approving the contract with Ferguson Enterprises Incorporated for the automated meter infrastructure system equipment and services along with the meters and associated hardware. I believe this would be Mr. Davies. Would you like to introduce this?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This contract is for the automated meter infrastructure and meter replacement program. I know that some of you, or most of you, are familiar with this. We've been talking about this for several years. And actually, last year, about this time, we went out for bid on this contract. We received, I believe in my notes, we received 4 proposals from 4 different firms. One of them was denied because of what's the word I'm looking for? Wasn't a correct bid submitted. Something wasn't signed, I believe is.
Non-responsive.
Non-responsive, that's the correct word. Thank you, Mayor. And then the team reviewed the 3 different other proposals and has selected Ferguson. We went through the vetting process, and over this last year, we've looked at the contract, negotiated some different things in the contract, and we are now ready to move forward with this project. I do want you to be aware that what we are signing today, if it is approved, is the purchase of equipment for this year only, and also for the infrastructure that is needed to implement the program. So what you'll see is the basic concept will be that we'll be putting a radio tower up on the north side in Lewiston where we have our water tower, and then on the south side a repeater station. And then IT will be implementing some new software and hardware within their department to take care of the all the infrastructure that we need there. And then we will, once all that is in place, that'll take about 60 to 90 days to do that. And then the next step would be to install approximately 100 meters throughout town, have those tested to make sure that when this is implemented citywide, everything functions correctly through Munis, through utility billing, and we don't have any glitches. And then after that has been confirmed, we will start installing meters throughout the city. And it is about a 2.5-year program. So from start to finish, we should be done in about 2.5 years from now with complete replacement of all the meters. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Randall.
we would just want to make clear that this only applies to people that are on City of Lewiston water.
Correct.
That is correct. Yes.
One of the benefits is long-term, once it's all installed, this is going to allow people to have real-time access to their water usage.
They will. That is, I want to clarify
I
that.
would say real-time, like to the minute, but within.
There is a program out there that can be implemented with that. At this point in time, after talking to various agencies and also to Census, who is the main, the supplier for Ferguson of these meters, it's about a $90,000 program that the city would have to purchase, and they have found that generally speaking, only about 5 to 10% of the customers use that. So while we have the ability to do that, that will not be implemented in this part of the package. But if the need arises, it can certainly happen. But certainly people can call utility billing. They'll have all that information up front, being able to see that, have instant access to it within, about 20 minutes.
Okay. Councilor Collins?
Just a kind of more of a curiosity question. You mentioned that the meters, once things get rolling, will be installed throughout the city. Within it, you talk about changing each route over by 100% before moving on to a new route. My curiosity question is, how many routes do we have within the city of Lewiston that this would apply to?
We have approximately, don't hold me to this, but I believe there's about 26 routes. Okay. And they vary in size from about 40 meters to, in the smallest route, and I think with the largest route we have about 200 meters in them.
Thank you.
Councilor Daniel?
What's the lifespan of this technology versus what we currently are using?
All technology, as you know, Councilor, changes dramatically. This has been kind of in the making probably for the last 10 years, but has really come on board. Most utilities are switching over to this in the last 2 to 3 years. Something new I'm sure will come along in the next 20 years. But generally speaking, I'll say that most residential water meters have a lifespan of about 20 years. That's the typical guarantee, but in reality, household meters tend to start slowing down after about 10 years. So that's why you kind of want to have a replacement program in place that, excuse me, that you replace those meters somewhere between 15 and 20 years so you don't lose revenue. And again, that's just for single-family residents.
Oh, okay. Pro Tem.
You mentioned we're going to install 100 meters and test them at various locations within the service district. What's the plan if there are a lot of glitches with those 100 meters? Are we still on the hook for this entire contract? We have to push through it, or do we have a backup plan in place? Or
they're required to meet it through the contract, and if they don't, they'd be in breach of that contract, and then I'd have to talk to the city attorney and see what our out is. But they're contractually required to meet specific milestones, and the accuracy is, I believe it's somewhere between 95 and 100% is what they have to get.
okay, so we'll get 95 to 100% before we proceed past that 100 meters.
Correct.
Okay.
And this is similar by extension, perhaps with what Avista has currently going on now?
That is correct.
Okay. Further questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Davies.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, and since this is a contract, I'll entertain a motion to approve the automatic water metering reading contract with Ferguson Enterprises
So moved.
Second.
by roll call vote. Sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Seaver?
Aye.
Councilor Daniel?
Aye.
Councilor Collins?
Aye.
Councilor Randall?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. The next up, vouchers payable to Albertsons. This is from 11/6/15 through 11/9/19/15, the amount of $86.44. I'll entertain a motion to approve vouchers payable to Albertsons with Counselor Daniel abstaining.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 to 1. And item G, vouchers payable to Pathologist Regional Lab from 11/16/15 through 11/19/15 in the amount of $815.65. I'll entertain a motion to approve the vouchers payable to Path Lab with Pro Tem Johnson abstaining.
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 4-0 to 1. Okay, and now, item H, which is Resolution 2015-57. This is a resolution implementing the decision of the City Council in VA 01-2015, vacating the right-of-way of 8th Street between the north right-of-way line of D Street and the south right-of-way line of the railroad. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2015-57.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Randall.
I was just bringing this up to see if we could have some staff re-enlighten us on this so the public could be aware. Certainly not.
This is the Howell property, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor, City Council, I'll do my very best. I don't deal with this on a daily basis. However, this is a request to vacate a portion of 8th Street. And it would be north of D Street between 7th and I guess 9th Street is probably the easiest way to locate it. In the process, we have specifically requested that there also be a public utility easement be maintained because we do have water line that goes through 8th Street. And there were also several other conditions that the applicant was required to do. And if I remember correctly, if I can get to those, excuse me one second. I believe there were 5 conditions. Yes, there were. Driveway approach. So it was to allow the vacation, to provide a public utility easement that was 20 feet wide, meet all the conditions from the fire department, supply or install a driveway style approach along D Street between where the street is vacated, and then also install a safety railing along 7th Street. I just want to say that both conditions 4 and 5 have not been met yet, but there are specific reasons why that has not been done. Item 4 is because of the ERP project, the downtown projects that we've been working on. Those will be done in 2016, and we have not got a final design. So until we have a final design, the applicant can't do that installation there. And for the safety railing, we have seen the safety railing. It's been manufactured. It just needs to be installed. So they've met all the conditions that they've been asked to do at this point. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I'm fine.
Yeah, no, I remember this coming before us a while back. So this is just bookkeeping, Mr. Davies? Kind of a bookkeeping thing?
Sorry, Mayor.
'Cause
Yes, that is correct.
This was several months ago that we did this.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. So, I guess I'll entertain a motion to, or do we have the motion already? So we already have the motion? So all those in favor of approving Resolution 2015-57, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So we'll move on to unfinished and new business. City councilor comments. Do we have any this evening? Acting city manager comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not initially, but with Mr. Hensley addressing our group, I might try to just provide a couple comments about the city's wastewater or sewer rates. It's an excellent point, and it's been something that, as council knows, staff and council has been working on for at least 3 or 4 years, if not longer. And the rates, of course, are a function of costs. So the real root of the issue is to look at a fair distribution of the cost. And it gets complicated when you have different maintenance and collection lines. Of course, the treatment plant is served by all of our citizens. But as council is aware of the 2 districts, we do have an agreement that's in place with the Lewiston Orchard Sewer District. And those rates, if they're not identical, they're very close in this fiscal year budget. So it's an outstanding point, and we are not quite there with the Central Orchard Sewer District, but I'm cautiously optimistic. And again, so it's just a matter of working through some complexities and cost allocations.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay. No, and that's, just to bring up what you said, we have been working on this.
I know you have. It's just, I'm the guy from the downtown district, and I've seen, I think the councils over the last 30 years have been, the easy way is just to raise rates for the downtown district. And I think it's really gotten out of whack. And I'm glad to hear that the city and the council is trying to redress the problem. Because when you look at your website, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Okay?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just sort of getting a little out of sync here. Dan didn't bring it up, and Mr. Bennett's not present, but I got notified from Judy Smith, our recently appointed ADA coordinator, that she passed her certification exam, and so she's now a certified ADA coordinator.
No, I know she's been studying hard for that.
Yep.
So. Anything else? Okay, advisory board and commission appointments. Do we have any that we want to make tonight? Councilor Collins.
We have 2 positions on the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board for reappointment, and if, with the council's pleasure, I'd like to put them both forward at the same time. Excuse me. We have both Mindy Christopher and Jennifer Greenidge for reappointment at your approval.
Okay. I'll take that in the form of a motion. So we have a motion to approve, I'm sorry, the names again?
Mindy Christopher and Jennifer Greenidge, Grinage.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The appointments stand. Do we have any other tonight? I will say that Councilor Randall and Collins and I will be having, we have a couple of interviews for the Joint Airport Authority on Thursday, and then we're going to try and finish it off on Monday before our work session, and hopefully we'll have our 5th member back installed on the Joint Airport Authority.
Mr. Mayor, we still have 2 openings on the Transportation Advisory Commission.
That's correct. If anybody's interested in being involved in the Transportation Advisory Commission, it's an interesting group, and they tackle a lot of issues. So if anybody's got any interest, please call our city clerk, Carrie Ravencroft.
Mr. Mayor? Also, we got 2 positions open on solid waste. One of the things I noticed in the minutes was a letter was sent to the council, or at least to the mayor, concerning reducing the size of the committee, so maybe that's something we should look
We
into.
may have to do that, just in order to ensure that there's a quorum.
Yeah.
So we still have openings on the Solid Waste Advisory Commission, too. I know there's not a lot of exciting business going on since we've already gone to single stream, and we have our contracts wrapped up, but you never know what can happen down the road, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Collins.
I wanted to backtrack a little bit. I forgot to mention that for the public's information, the pathway up at Community Park has been completed that now circles the entire park. So for those that are out walking their dogs or walking and exercising, that you can, it's not quite a 5K. I will measure it to be sure, but it's far enough around that it'll get your heart rate up and get you going, so.
Thank you, sir. Okay, work session agenda topics. Do we have any others that we want to address? I know we've got a fairly full. Councilor Daniel.
Like to get on the agenda to discuss the policy for body cameras for police officers.
Okay. Is there anything else? Well, at this time, I guess I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session, RE pending litigation under Idaho Code Section 74-206, paren 1, paren F.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? By roll call vote.
Chairperson Johnson?
Aye.
Chair Cleaver?
Aye.
Counselor Daniel?
Aye.
Counselor Collins?
Aye.
Counselor Renfro?
Aye.
Okay. Well, that's it for us tonight, folks. We'll go ahead and take a 3-minute break. Thank you, everybody, for coming and watching.